What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is NCIS Season 15, Episodes 10 through 12. 10 Double Down, 11 High Tide, and 12 Dark Secrets. So, now that that's out of the way, let's get into these three episodes. So, first of all, we'll talk about Double Down, the Christmas episode. Your typical Christmas NCIS episode. You got people trying to make it home, holidays, stuff like that. It feels like every NCIS Christmas episode had some sort of version of this. And ultimately, people learn some sort of good moral at the end of it. And honestly, it was okay. I thought it was interesting enough. You had this one kid gets pushed downstairs and ends up in the hospital in the ICU. He's comatose, so can't find out what happened to him. His father is being looked after overseas. He's a senator by Torres and Sloan, and he's apparently gone to some camp, and so they hear about it, trying to get him back home, and then they end up taking a wrong turn into an IED field, and now they're trapped. Their vehicle has been blown up, and now they're just trying to survive and make it home. So that's pretty much the entire setup. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really get into this one as much as I have some of the past kind of heartfelt episodes that NCIS has had. And the main reason is it feels like they made everybody in this episode a little too mean and cold-hearted. Because I get that you have to have some sort of change in characters if you want to have this sort of moral where it's like, oh, we got to be nice to each other and be kind. It's the holidays, guys. We're all human, that type of thing. I've seen this done before. But in this episode, it's like they made them a little too mean-spirited. And not just one person, everybody it felt like was too mean-spirited. You got the senator who just acts like a total douche to everybody. He's talking to Torres and Sloan and just talking down to him like they're beneath him. The comedian's making a bunch of jokes and he's just like, none of this is funny. And then he starts making cracks back to him and putting him down. The comedian, totally mean-spirited. It's one thing for a comedian to be making jokes, but for some reason in TV shows and movies, it's like all comedians are just assholes who make terrible jokes. And even when you talk to them as a person, they're still just complete jerks. And so, the senator and the comedian are butting heads. And it's like, really, we got to go through all of this in the middle of they could die. And they're just sitting there hating on each other. I'm like, come on, you two are about to die. Can't you just get along for now until you're out of this situation? The police officer that's looking into the senator's son falling down the stairwell, even she's kind of a jerk. Bishop's talking to her. She's like, look, this is not your case. This is my case. And then Bishop has these documents or something. She's like, hang on, let me just sign this so I can look at it. She's like, no. And she's like, you know what? Fine. If you want it, you can have it. Merry Christmas. And then walks away, and I'm just like, what is wrong with you? What did Bishop do to deserve that? Obviously Bishop was trying to get her to give over the information of the crime so they could look into it, but still, it was just a little too much of a horrible reaction from somebody like that, especially from a police officer to somebody who works all these cases. I don't know, it seemed very bizarre reaction. But anyway, aside from that, as far as the case is concerned, it was interesting enough. This kid was working with two of his friends, and they were working on these dice that were going to always roll snake eyes. And so they were going to take it to casinos, switch out the dice for craps, and then make a ton of, well, not a ton of money off of it, but make just enough to where they had a good bit of money and they could spend it on having fun in casinos and stuff. So ultimately, they find out that the kid, he was caught, but he was too scared to do anything about it, so he said he's gonna turn his life around. He actually enlisted in the Marines the next day, and of course, at the end of the episode, he and his dad get to have a moment over that because his dad really wanted him to, and ultimately his friend heard about that, got pissed that he was backing out on them, and then went to push him down the stairs, and so they catch the friend, and he manages to, I don't know, it was kind of weird because they offered him, hey, if you just admit to it, we can change it to assault instead of attempted murder, which would knock down some of his prison time. And he still blames it on his girlfriend, who then tells them, no, I've got a videotape of him admitting to it. And then they still give him the assault, even though he lied to him. And I'm just like, really? I get that it's Christmas and you want to be all charitable and stuff, but he did lie about pushing his friend down the stairs and nearly killing him. And you're just going to be like, oh, okay, you lied to us, but we're still going to offer you that assault charge. Whatever. That was the Christmas episode. Very simple, a little bit too frustrating because of some of the, just, I don't know, the mean-spiritedness of the characters. The only other thing to talk about is Sloane. For some reason, I don't really know where this is all going. Apparently she had some sort of episode last time she was overseas or something, because Vance is talking to Gibbs and it's like, I offered you the position because you know him, why didn't you take it? And he said, well, Sloane wanted to go really badly. He's like, well, I just hope there's not another happening like last time she was over there. I'm like, what happened exactly? Like, are we ever going to talk about this, or are they just sort of being like, oh, what if she makes a mistake or something? I don't know. It just kind of seemed weird and out of nowhere that they're just talking about her like she's got some sort of bad beef over there. And we see her at the end of the episode, and she's got like this box with a bunch of names, and hers is on it, and she lays it down by a wall that had Wingo's written on it. So I don't know. Maybe we'll learn a bit more about her, but they didn't take us anywhere else with that. They just sort of mentioned it, and then that was all. So anyway, on to the next episode, which the title of it I've already forgotten, so I gotta look it up again. Episode 11, High Tide. So we see in this one, Torres and Bishop are working undercover, trying to get under... I can't remember what exactly they were smuggling. I think it was drugs. I'm pretty sure it was drugs. But they're trying to get to this yacht owner, and so Bishop goes in pretending to be an escort. Torres comes in pretending to be her boyfriend, and they manage to get his phone tracked. And so that way they can look at all this text and listen. But then next thing you know, the boat explodes, and he dies. Apparently there was a gunshot to the head before he even exploded. So now they're trying to figure out who's behind this whole ring. What are they going to do? Torres goes against orders, and then gets him and Bishop inside of the ring again as different, instead of just escort and boyfriend, now he goes in as, oh no, that was a con. We actually like to smuggle drugs too, and so we want you to hire us. And so there's a little bit of friction between him and Vance because of that. Gibbs, typical Gibbs, is just like, I kind of knew he was going to do it. And that's pretty much most of this episode is just Torres and Bishop infiltrating the ring. Bishop is kind of enjoying the life undercover. I don't know, by the end of the episode, she hasn't really changed anything. She hasn't done anything different. She just, throughout most of this episode, she's just talking like, oh, I never knew it was a rush to nearly kill somebody. And I'm just like, why are we doing this? It doesn't even lead to anything. It's not like by the end of the episode, she's wondering, wait, is there a darker side to me that I didn't know about? It's just, they wanted to make some jokes about it, and that was it. It just kind of felt wasted, in my opinion. And then aside from that, I don't know, Torres doesn't really see any repercussions for what he did, going against orders. They just kind of slap him on the hand and make him carry a bunch of heavy stuff. I don't know. The point of this episode seemed a little bit lost to me. Because it seemed like they may be taking it somewhere between Torres going against orders. Vance is talking to Sloane about it, and she's like, he was just going with his gut. Isn't there somebody else we know here that does that? And Vance makes a joke like, another Gibbs. I didn't think there were two of them. But that's not really talked about anymore. Bishop going a little too far with some of this stuff, that's not talked about anymore. I mean, honestly, it didn't feel like this episode went anywhere. It felt like they just had this to make a few jokes about Torres going undercover and acting like Gibbs, going with his gut, Bishop enjoying the life too much, and that was it. So I don't know. I feel like there was a lot of opportunities that they missed there just because they didn't really take full advantage of what they had. Ultimately, as far as the case itself is concerned, I don't know, the twist seemed a little bit too weak to me because they go to this one guy who's been talking to Bishop the entire episode and he's been acting like he's the boss. Well, then they find out this guy who owns the boats at the dock, apparently he looks like he might be the boss, but then he gets killed, and then the guy that Bishop was talking to is like, oh, what? I'm not the boss. He's not the boss. You guys are idiots. And find out that the one kid that Torres has been talking to this whole time, he's the only other character left, so of course he's the boss. And I don't know, it just kind of seemed a little weak to me. Like he wanted to keep himself a secret so nobody knew that he was the boss, and I don't know. It felt like they wanted to have some sort of plot twist or like, hang on, I know, let's have the kid who acts like he's not at all a bad person. Let's have him actually be the one that's the secret ringleader the whole time. And, ooh, plot twist, what a twist. M. Night Shyamalan will be so proud. So yeah, I don't know. It just kind of felt like a episode. And then the last of these three, which in my opinion was probably the most interesting, number 12, Dark Secrets. This is one, these parents walk in and their daughter has hung herself. And so it's kind of a question of, well, she's not that type of person to commit suicide, so somebody must have killed her. It must have been murder. Well, as they continue to look into her and find out more information about her, they find out that apparently she's not this goody two-shoes that everybody's been saying, because she has this other life as a girl named Rita who's very into like punishment and having guys beat her and stuff. And they're just kind of like, well, what does this mean? Is it split personality? Well, Sloan brings up that it's not really a split personality disorder. It's actually two lives. Like, she is physically living two different lives that are separate from each other and hiding it so well that nobody that knew her, the her that everybody thought was goody two shoes, nobody that knew her in that life thought that she could possibly be living another life. That's how real both of the lives were. And so I find it very interesting, not just as far as the case is concerned, but I do like the psychological stuff. I mean, obviously I watch Criminal Minds a lot, so I do like the psychological stuff whenever they tackle it. And so hearing about this disorder that's not really split personality or multiple dissociative identity disorders, the other one, it's not either of those. It's just somebody living two completely separate lives and being so good at it that neither person on either side of her life or lives could possibly tell. It just seems like a different sort of disorder that I haven't even heard about before, and I kind of want to ask around and see if this is a real thing that people have experienced before. But ultimately, yeah, they find out that these two separate lives was a result of her and her friend killing a teacher back in, I think it was either middle school or high school. I can't remember which one now. But yeah, they didn't really kill him, like murder him, but they brought him out there and threatened him because he was doing horrible things to the students, and he ended up having a heart attack from the shock of being found out. And so they both freaked out, and this lieutenant apparently started living another life because of the guilt of it. She wanted to punish herself, and so that's why she was living this punishment, not really dominatrix, I don't know what they're called, but she enjoyed just getting beaten by men because she felt like it was what she deserved. And so I do find that side of it very interesting, the whole psychological aspect. I do love stuff like that. And on top of that, just the fact that the case felt like it was going one way, maybe, she has a secret boyfriend, or maybe, the husband has a secret lover, maybe something else is going on that they don't know about, and maybe it's a murder, and then ultimately they find out, no, it was a suicide all along. It was just something they had no clue about at the beginning, this whole secret life she was living. So I like it whenever a case can sort of play with my expectations like that, make it seem like, ooh, suicide? No, it's actually probably a murder. And then by the end, it's like, no, that was definitely a suicide. It's just not what you were thinking. I like it when they do the stuff like that. So, yeah, I really enjoyed the third episode. The second one was kind of for me, and then the first one wasn't bad, just too mean-spirited for the Christmas episode as well. So, I don't know, 3 episodes in a row, and all 3 of them are okay. It's just kind of NCIS, overall. That's how I feel about NCIS now. Some of the episodes are going to be hits, some are going to be misses, and some are just going to be kind of average. You watch it, you laugh at a few of the jokes, and I mean, the jokes in all 3 episodes were funny. That's something NCIS has not lost over all of these years, is the jokes that they do write are very funny. And the characters that they have really work well with the jokes, too, so... Yep, that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these episodes? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future NCIS reviews. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.